right, thanks, Brandy. Hey, ladies, thank you for joining. I know people tend to join in a little bit later. I'm gonna try to drag it out because there are a lot of things on here, and there's a video that I want us all to watch and discuss at the end of it. Because a lot of times we hear about red flags, like that's just the culture right now. Everything's a red flag. Watch out for this. Watch out for that. But sometimes I don't even think we've realized that we're going through a gaslight type situation because you don't know what that looks like. So that's why I picked this one while the whole red flag culture is going around, so that we can actually discuss what is being gaslit, what does that look like, what are some key phrases. Sometimes you get it confused based on the person's demeanor or tone, like, are you really being gaslit or is this just the way the person's trying to speak to you? So wanted to go over all of that. If you do know other women who are interested in this topic and they've completely forgot that this is happening, please let them know so they can join in. But I also want us to get started because I want to share everything that we have. And if you feel comfortable, if you have a story where you feel like you were like went through that situation and you feel like sharing it, please feel free to share that as well. It's always best when we hear it from like a, I guess, like a first person point of view of what happened. How did you get out of the situation? Do you think you're still in the situation? And of course, it's always based on your comfort level of sharing. So I'm going to share my screen. Present mode. All right. So for those who are brand new to the check-in, mission is always holding you accountable to living your best life. So those who haven't seen the mission statement, it was based on the fact that me going through my own depression, I always told people I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And I got so good at saying it and pretending to be good on the outside that no one really realized that I was going through depression. So I figured I'm not the only high functioning depressive that walks around life just lying to themselves, lying to others about how okay they really are. So I created the check-in as a safe place for us to come vent, talk about different topics. And it's not always mental health because there are other parts of our lives that need to be flourishing and growing too. So we've done fibroids, we've done PCOS, we've done money, stocks, IRAs, opening up businesses, what's an LLC versus PLLC. So we've done different topics, and it's always with the goal of making sure you're actually living that I'm good life that you're telling everyone that you are. On some of my own, if you're not already following the check-in, I think a lot of you are, and my other Instagram for awareness. Always judgment-free zone, no shade allowed. I will mute or kick out anyone that starts to be disrespectful to any of the other members. We're here to help each other heal, help each other vent. You know, you don't want to come into another stressful place thinking that it's a safe space, and it's not. So participate, please. Turn your cameras on if you feel comfortable. Trust me, I'm not looking my best either. I didn't even bother retwisting my locks. Like, it is what it is. This is a comfortable place, so feel comfortable. You can turn on your camera however it is you look right now. You don't have to answer any questions that you're not comfortable with at all. And I'm always going to stress the point to keep up with your self-care. Your self-care should be like a job shift, point blank, period. It shouldn't be, oh, I didn't have time today, because Monday through Friday, if that's your regular work schedule, you're making sure you're at work Monday through Friday. So Saturday, if that's a day, or Sunday, if that's a day, that should be a shift for you. Act like you're getting paid, because you are getting paid. You're refilling your cup and you make sure that you're at your best level. So it's even better than getting paid, in all honesty, because however you are, that's how you show up to wherever you go, whether that be work, whether it be in your friendships, relationships, however you are, that's what shows up. So make self-care a work shift if that's what you have to tell yourself mentally in order to make sure you keep up with it. All right, so we're gonna start off with a game. I love doing games in my Bible study. I'm very big on this, and it's always fun. It's interactive, so please, please, please. I decided to bring along my co-host, our favorite toxic rapper, Future, because I don't know anyone else that has been portrayed as more toxic than this man. But we still laugh and still repost his things. Like, I don't even know what we're doing to ourselves at this point, but it's funny, so we use it. All right. So these are the first two statements. I'm gonna try to read my chat as well. So yeah, so the first one is it A, you're overreacting, or is the phrase, I can't talk to you right now, I'll hit you up later? Which one would you ladies think is the person trying to gaslight the other one? Okay. So I'll give everyone a chance. You drop it in the chat, and please, I'm gonna call on you. If you're picking an answer, I'm gonna ask you to tell me why. So be ready for that as well. I would have my Jeopardy music on. I completely forgot, but it's cool. Give it about like 5 seconds. Someone said A out loud, right? Oh, okay. So Michelle, it's a question. We're gonna pick which phrase is the gaslight phrase. So is it the ones on the screen are the two phrases that you have to choose from? Is it A, you're overreacting, or B, I can't talk to you right now, I'll hit you up later? Which one would you think is the gaslight phrase? I'll give you a couple of seconds since you just came back on. Kia, you're not allowed to put on your camera because your hair look like it just got done. Like your edges is laid and mine look like this. So I need you to turn off your camera. It's not gonna work. You can't be looking better than the host.
I just put the ponytail on when Brandy was playing.
I don't even have a ponytail to put. This is what y'all getting tonight, okay? We finna be comfortable. One of these days we're gonna do pajamas because this is it. All right, so everybody answered. Bambi, did you get to answer the question? I believe that's Bambi that came on. She's walking through the house. Okay, Tracy, A. So I'll start with the top right underneath me, Kia. Why did you choose A?
I chose A because overreacting, in my opinion, I mean, it honestly depends on the situation. Like, if you speak about something that's making you feel uncomfortable, as long as you're like addressing things in a certain manner, like with tact, that's not necessarily overreacting. It's like, I'm trying to communicate with you how I feel. And it's almost like the conversation is just being shut out. Mm-hmm. So usually that could make things escalate. So just overreacting, that's usually a triggering statement for a lot of people.
Okay. All right, Michelle, you're right under her. Which one did you choose? Oh, you chose A as well. Why did you think A was a gaslight phrase?
So similar to what the young lady said before, for me, I know that I have some mental health challenges. So when I express my feelings or I try to explain to someone, what it is, and, particularly, people who's close to you who don't get it, and it's like you're overreacting. So they feel like you're taking things to another level without them really understanding your level of emotions.
Very true. Tracy, you also chose A. Why'd you choose A?
Usually when somebody is gaslighting, like they trying to make you out to be the bad guy, like, so everything you do, they making you feel like everything you do is wrong. Mm-hmm. So your overreacting is like one of the perfect examples of that.
Tracy, you went out. You there? I think your service is probably a little bit down. Okay, we'll come back to Tracy. Pep, you're right underneath her. Did you also choose A?
Yes, I did.
Okay, why'd you choose A?
I don't like that phrase, you're overreacting at all, because I feel like what you're feeling is your truth. Like there's no emotion that's wrong. Like if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. So for someone to say you're overreacting, they're trying to validate how you feel. So that's why I think that's the gaslighting phrase.
Okay. All right. Tracy, are you back with us?
Yeah, I think it was my AirPods. Y'all can hear me?
Oh, yes, now I can hear you. So you were saying, can you repeat what you were saying about the phrase?
Yeah, I was saying, it definitely was the AirPods. I was saying that usually when somebody is gaslighting, like they usually are making you out to be the bad person. So it's like everything you do to them is wrong. Mm-hmm. So your overreacting is like a perfect example because they trying to make you feel bad about the situation.
Okay. All right, Bambi, were you able to choose or are you able to talk right now? I don't know, Bambi. And there's also an iPhone user. I'm not sure who the iPhone user is because there's no name. If you're able to answer the question, which one you think is the gaslighting phrase? or Stephanie Alvarez? If you're able to answer, if you're able to come on and answer. No.
Sorry, I didn't catch the question. I was a little late.
Not a problem. So we're choosing which phrase is the gaslight phrase. So we have our favorite toxic rapper, Future, to help us out. It's either A, you're overreacting, or is it B, I can't talk to you right now, I'll hit you up later.
Actually, do I have to pick one? Because I choose both.
Really? Okay, go ahead. Why do you choose both?
Overreacting, I think the other person isn't quite aware of how their actions affect the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't talk to you right now, I'll hit you up later. Typically, they don't make time to talk to you later. They just hope that you forget about whatever the issue is.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else? No, iPhone dropped, must have lost signal. Okay, so yeah. So most of you, yeah. I went with A when I created this, simply because you're overreacting, is like you said, it's shutting down the person, it's trying to minimize how you're feeling. What your truth is what your truth is. Like somebody telling you that you're overreacting is generally trying to make you feel like, wait, second guess what you're thinking or how you're feeling like. And that's usually what happens. The more you think about it, it's like, wait, am I overreacting? Was it that big? And all of a sudden, instead of even thinking about what the situation is, you're now wondering about yourself and second guessing, like, am I always making things too big? Because it usually comes up with phrases like that. And you're like, remember last time? And then the situation that you're upset about, you completely forget. It's based on how you're reacting as a person. I can definitely see, Stephanie, how you're saying, I'll hit you up later, being something that's can be seen as gaslighting. I personally see it as just either the person's acknowledging how they feel right now and knowing that it might not be a productive conversation if I was to talk to you when I'm upset, or you're right, it could be where they just never hit you up and it's like a ghosting type situation. So I could definitely see that as well. All right, let's go to the next one. So these are the two phrases: A, you good, or B, why are you acting so paranoid? I can drop it in the chat and then we can talk about why you think A or B or both are phrases used when gaslighting. I'm laughing at you, Michelle. Lord B. Okay. Kias are both. I'm rolling. All right, Stephanie thinks B. Okay, I think that's everyone on here for now. All right, Stephanie, we'll start with you since we ended off with you. Why do you think it's B?
It's more so them. I'm assuming that, well, my assumption is that when you're talking about gaslighting, it's because you're in a relationship with this individual. So for them to ask you why you're acting so paranoid, again, they should know how you will react to certain situations.
Okay.
And by them asking you why you're acting so paranoid, I don't think they're acknowledging what the situation is.
Okay. Bambi. Oh wait, are you on here?
Yep.
There you go. Why did you pick B?
I think it's just the the ability to just make you feel crazy, like paranoid. It's like there could have been so many other words you could use. It's like, how do you know? Like, I'm paranoid, It's just like whenever I hear that, I'm like, okay, you're trying to deflect, and you're trying to make me have some blame onto something that I'm intuitively thinking. So yeah, I don't like that phrase.
Okay. Kia, why'd you say both? You right on top of her.
I said both because if you're asking me if I'm good, apparently you're seeing an expression that tells you that I'm reacting to something that just happened or something that was just said.
Okay.
So, there's a different way to express that, to, ask me how I'm feeling. If you're asking me if I'm good, that's just, that's a very open-ended question and it could go many different ways. So
yeah.
I think if you ask the question, you already know the answer. And if we're not like in a court of law, ask me a more direct question rather than to set me up to go off, basically.
Got you. Okay. Pep, what about you? You chose B.
Yeah. Why are you acting so paranoid? That's putting a label like on my feelings, and a lot of people don't want to express paranoia. So if I'm bringing something to attention or I'm making them aware of it, it's something that, you know, I feel passionately about. So I will explain why I feel that way, but that's just, I don't know, it's just like shutting a person out, so to speak. It makes you automatically just become defensive. Like, no, I'm not paranoid. This is how I feel. It can only go downhill from there. Like, you will have to be a very patient person to respond to that in a way that doesn't like escalate a situation.
Very true. Okay. Pep, what about you?
I chose paranoia because you're clearly trying to trigger me. Clearly. Because the word paranoid has nothing but negative connotations associated with it. So it's kind of like you're calling it paranoia, but I'm trying to express a concern to you. Now that concern is going to turn into something very fiery because you're looking to get that reaction out of me. I'm trying not to be as easily triggered, but like that's what you're trying to do here.
Okay. Michelle, why did you say both?
Okay, let me walk away real quick. So I said, and I'll turn on my camera. It's a little dark. I have to run from the kids. So I say both because you good. I feel like it's kind of dismissive. I mean, in my opinion, where if we're having a deep conversation or if I'm speaking to someone, it's like, okay, I heard what you have to say. You're good. Like, that's it. Like, they don't want to continue, kind of downplays you. Overreacting, like I shared, you know, mental health challenges. So when that's mentioned, especially the paranoid word, for those who lack the education in mental health, I feel like they're trying to call me crazy. So I guess you could say I become defensive only because, you know, I know those type of people. So both of them, definitely.
Okay. So a lot of you are basing it on your own history with the two phrases. For me, if somebody asks me, you good? I'm thinking more like fighting. Like you're trying to fight or something, like not so much like gaslight, whatever, but like, you know, and again, it depends on the tone because your friend could come to me like, yo, you good? Like, it always depends on the tone of the person as well. The paranoid one, I feel like that one is for me extremely dismissive, extremely trying to make me second guess myself. Whenever I think about gaslighting, I think of something that makes you second guess yourself. But again, both like you lady said, it's based on your history, how you've heard both phrases used. So either or could go with it. Let's go to this next one. All right, so next one is A, it's no big deal, or B, I thought you'd take it as a joke. Which one do you feel would be the gaslight phrase? Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, A and B. All right, A. Okay, this is a mixture. Okay, I think that's everyone, right? Everyone answered? Not missing anyone. All right, so Tracy, I'll start with you. You said B. Tracy, you here? Tracy may not be here.
No, I'm here. I had to switch to speaker because the last time you couldn't hear me through my earpod. I guess it's dying on me. But
okay.
I picked B. I thought you take it as a joke because most time when you think about gaslighting, people they often like say things they think are like they think it's funny, or they say things that often you might assume is like harsh or whatever, but they think is the opposite of what it truly is. And sometimes they play on your sensitivity. So a lot of times something like that, if they think you take it as a joke, they know your personality, so they like, yeah, I'm gonna say whatever I could say and see if I could get away with it.
Okay. Who else chose A? No, who else chose B?
I did.
Okay, go ahead. Why'd you choose B?
I chose B because saying I thought you would take it as a joke. Usually jokes will have punchlines. So, if there was nothing funny about it, then obviously it wasn't a joke. I feel like people say things indirectly just to see how you're going to react to it. And that's because they want to see how far they can overstep their boundaries with you. So saying I thought you would take it as a joke, basically they would want to make you feel like, again, like you're being paranoid and you should have laughed it off. But if there's no punchline, there was nothing to laugh at. Like, I think you're just trying to get over on me, and this is putting up a lot of red flags about you. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. All right. Perpetua, you said both of them? Really? I can't hear you.
I sure did.
Okay, why'd you pick both?
Similar to what Kia was just saying, like, you clearly made that joke, as you call it, directed to me. So now you're trying to cover it up and say, oh, it was a joke, but you probably meant that with a lot of truth. So I find that to be problematic, especially if you're doing it in front of company, because now you're going to also say, it's a joke, everybody else is laughing, why aren't you laughing, you the crazy one?
Back to the paranoia thing.
Right. And then also with it's no big deal is, again, dismissive, brushing it off, minimizing your experience and your feeling. And I can't say that.
Okay.
Both things would send me through the roof.
Wow, I wasn't expecting ladies to be split on them. I thought, I'm like, okay, everybody's gonna pick one, but it's so good. This is why I like discussion, because you get to hear the other side, and I can see, based on what you ladies are saying, why either could do it. Same here, dismissive. Okay, Michelle. Stephanie, you had put A. Are you still here?
I'm still here.
All right. I have to like scroll down.
Okay. What was option A?
It's no big deal. Yeah.
So I went with A. It's no big deal because everyone else said, you're dismissing my feelings about the situation. And a part of me wanted to choose both because I think when you go with, I thought you would take it as a joke, you have to know who your audience is. I mean, you can't just throw jokes out there and expect everybody to have the same sense of humor as you do. But yeah, so that's why I chose A.
Okay. Bambi, which one did you choose? Did you you also chose both. Are you able to speak or no?
Yeah, both. Anything that basically hides an undertone is not meant to like be a healthy statement. Like, people don't make, a lot of times people try to insult you through joking, and so I didn't like that. I don't like a lot of these.
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not triggering anyone. Like, I'm so sorry.
I'm a little triggered now, but it's like, yeah, it's like anything that makes you like, it's always there's an undertone and you got to think about it, like, and it's not direct. It's not a healthy thing. It's not meant to make me feel better about myself. So why are you saying it? That's basically what it is. And then also, a lot of times when you do that to them, they get all the way salty. So it's like, it's like, if anything that you can't say to your partner without them getting kind of like, in their feelings, then don't say it to me. Easy.
Very, very true. Oh, I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to trigger y'all. I'm just trying to educate. So
some of these ladies pretty much know.
Would you say, Stephanie? Or was that Kia?
Some of us are getting activated in here.
No, don't get activated. I'm so sorry. But take it with you and teach the other ladies. I know, because a lot of women express interest, but I know they can't all be here.
I feel like I'm activated in the right way though, because I'm like, I've come a long way since then, so I'm kind of proud.
Okay.
Yeah.
None of this will fly by me today.
That's good. So that's the point. Like, you have to know where you're coming from. And also it's good to know what your history is, right? Because if you haven't healed from your history, let's say somebody comes up to you and says you good, you might just go right back into that flashback mode where somebody who meant ill towards you said it in like a, an ill intent type way. And you're like, what do you mean you good? And the person's literally just asking you, it's slang. Are you okay? Like, that's what I mean. But now you're in your head, you're like, no, you're trying to play me. Like, you have this whole backstory that isn't even part of your present, which is why it's so important to heal from some of these things that trigger you. So if it's really triggering you right now, I hope you're either writing it down or just taking a mental note, like, why is this triggering you? What situation keeps coming up in your head every time I bring up one of these? And have you actually dealt with that situation? Whether it's you address the person or you've set boundaries for that person, or you no longer speak to that person at all. What have you done to remove yourself from that situation? All right. That was supposed to be like the end, but we could do it here. All right. This one is A, you're so sensitive, or B, that's not what I meant. This is what I said. Jeez, I definitely didn't think both for this one. Okay, Bambi says A. All right. Give the rest of you ladies. Oh, you triggered. Like, we just had a whole little discussion about triggers. Gee, okay, ladies, y'all gonna have to talk to me because I was not thinking both of them for this one at all. So whoever wants to speak first, go ahead. Bambi, you're the only, me and you both. Bambi, I only thought A2. I was not thinking, I thought the B one was okay, but please, for all the rest of you that chose
I'm hiding in the bathroom, so I wanted to go first. If that's
go
okay.
ahead.
Okay, you're so sensitive. Once again, I feel like it's just dismissive of someone's situation, emotions. And I feel like as a person, and hold on, I hope you can hear me because my kids are being extra. Okay. That's not what I meant to say. This is what I said. That's where, like, when I share something, and look, again, personal, but when you're just sharing something with someone, and it's the same thing, like you're overreacting, you're paranoid. I feel like those two kind of mean the same. So B and the paranoid comment is the same. Like, I understood what you said, I processed what you said, but did you hear what I said? Dismissive once again.
Okay, I could see that. All right, who else? Stephanie, you said both as well. Why'd you choose both?
Oh, I chose both because now I guess I'm guilty of gaslighting also, since it's an option here, because I say that's not what I meant. This is what I said. I say that fairly often.
But what's your intent behind it when you're saying it? Are you saying it to be dismissive?
No, I'm saying that you're not listening to me. You're not listening to understand. You're just listening to me talk.
That's what I thought. That's why I didn't choose B. I didn't think B was a gaslight one.
But but to somebody else, it triggers them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not what you meant, but that's how I understood it to be. And I'm explaining, like, this is how I understood what you said. So then what's the problem? And then, it just a rabbit hole from there.
It can be, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you ladies go before I put my 2 cents in. Kia, you chose both, and the little emoji, like you wanted to curse me out. I'm sorry, don't curse me out.
I'm sorry, this is triggering. I'm trying to hold it together, but you're so sensitive. Just like everybody else said, it's very dismissive. I feel like everybody knows their threshold. So, if I try to bring something to you, then it's not sensitivity. I'm telling you how I feel. And I feel like brushing it under the table tells me you're going to be comfortable with continuing to speak to me in the same way. So that's definitely triggering. And B, I don't know why. I mean, I see the sentence, but I'm reading it wrong. I'm reading it as you don't understand, because that's what a lot of people like to say.
Mm-hmm.
If you're telling me, this is what you meant and this is what you said, just say what you really mean. Like, when you tell somebody like you didn't understand what I said, that's almost like, don't insult my competence. This is not beyond my comprehension. If you chose the right words, then I would have totally comprehended. I don't take things out of context. I take them for, exactly how you bring them to me. That, oh man.
That one hits, huh? That one hits. I mean, I think I might have actually used this one in a professional clapback too, but it was worded professionally. But again, so for me, I didn't choose that's not what I meant, this is what I said. Because like Stephanie, I've used it, like if me and a friend are disagreeing about something and she said something, I'm like, well, no, that's not what I meant. This is what I was trying to say, in terms of trying to make you understand where I'm coming from. And I feel like, again, if you're answering with that whole mindset of being triggered because you didn't heal from what happened in that situation where somebody was trying to gaslight you, that's when it becomes a problem. Because for me, I've never been told this in terms of trying to be belittled, so I don't see it as somebody trying to gaslight me. But for someone else who has been told like, yo, like you dumb, like basically that's what they were trying to tell you, I can see how that, triggers you. So again, what are the boundaries you're setting around those type of people? Are they still around you? What are you answering back when that happens? All right, I think this might be my last one before the next part. So A, let me try to read it with a different tone. Maybe that'll help. Okay, so you love bringing up the past. I'm over that. Or B, I thought you were over it. What's still bothering you?
They sound the same to me.
They sound the same. Okay. Okay, we're getting a lot of A's. All right, did everybody answer? Pep, Kia, Michelle, so Tracy, Steph, and Bambi. Which one are you guys thinking? Okay, both. All right, so Tracy, I'll start with you. You were the last one. Why do you think it was both? Jeez, I am so off tonight. I definitely wasn't thinking both for this one either. Why are you thinking both, Tracy? We can't hear you. I don't know if you're trying to use the AirPod again.
I was talking. I didn't unmute it. Duh.
Okay.
I'm good now. When I looked at it at first, I was thinking it was just one of them, but then when I read it again, I think both, because in the case of A, you love bringing up the past. I'm over that. That sounds like, like a person trying to put pressure on you, to think like everything that you telling them is like is something that's bothering them. And then with B, I thought you were over it. What's still bothering you is like somebody that's constantly like nitpicking, like, making it like kind of like an overthinker, but at the same time nitpicking at you like, yo, like, why is it still troubling you? Like, get over it already. Like trying to make it seem like everything you saying is something that you should not bring up again. So that's why I said both, because they both like tied in the same instance. Just a slight difference, but both them kind of, you know, like in different instances,
Yeah.
they both kind of giving a person like they playing on your emotions, like, so that's why I said both.
Okay, I'm gonna ask y'all something after when we're done. Bambi, why'd you choose A? Give a chance to come on. Who else chose A? Oh, Michelle chose A. Kia chose A. Okay, a couple of y'all chose A. So Bam, Kia, talk. Pep, why'd you choose A?
I chose A because I mean I've been told that before. It's if I'm bringing up the past, it's because we didn't resolve it. I feel like at least the second one sounds a little more constructive, trying to get to the bottom of the issue.
Okay.
And A is just like on the defense, like you're trying to go toe to toe with me, and it's not even about that.
Okay. Kia, what about you?
As far as A, you love bringing up the past. I'm over that. For
Yeah.
you to say you are over it, you know, it shows that you don't want to hear it. But if I'm bringing it up, clearly I'm not over it. And it depends on whether or not it was an action or words. You know, I don't like to just keep mentioning things, but if I see you do something that resembles, you know, what we've already been through, of course I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up because it shows a pattern. Now I see your track record, and now, you know, it's harder to move forward because I'm always going to suspect that this is going to come back up. I don't just, you know, bring up things just for the heck of it, just to argue. It's like if you're still doing the same thing, it needs to be addressed. There needs to be a compromise. So that's how I felt.
Got it. Okay, Michelle, what about you?
Same thing, and like I said, personal experience. If you're repeating the same thing again, you didn't understand what I said. You're not getting it. You're not processing it. So of course I'm going to bring it up. It's not that we're over it. It's that you're not understanding me. So I just feel like everything just needs to be in dismissive. Like I'm being ignored. Everything that I'm telling you, it just goes over your head because you're not comprehending me, but you're making me. Sorry, guys, I'm driving.
It's okay.
But you're making me. Feel like I'm the problem, and what I'm saying doesn't make sense.
Definitely. Okay, so did everybody answer? Stephanie, what about you? What did you choose? You chose both as well.
I picked both.
Okay, why did you choose both?
Well, so you love bringing up the past. I'm over it. And I thought you were over it. I think they're both indicators of you're only thinking about self. Just because you or the other person may have found peace with whatever the situation is, that doesn't mean that you have. And oh damn, I lost my train of thought.
Take your time.
Both of them, I think, are just both very selfish statements.
Okay.
When it comes down to it. Well, maybe the second one is maybe a little less selfish because they're trying to get some understanding of what it is that is bothering you.
Yeah.
But either way, I think they're both still very selfish statements to say.
Okay. So to my ladies who just joined, we're playing a game called Choose the Gaslight Phrase. And our favorite toxic rapper, Future, is helping us. So these are the two statements that we're up to right now. I'll give you ladies like a minute or two to look it over, and if you're able to answer the question, or drop it in the chat. If you have too much noise in the background, please do. So choice A is you love bringing up the past. I'm over that. Or is it B, I thought you were over it. What's still bothering you? Which one would you ladies say is the gaslight phrase? I don't have my little Jeopardy music, but next time I will. I have both, choices of both. Okay, everyone here. So I think Kelly and Tiff, you were the last ones to join. Are either of you able to unmute or speak? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, they might not be able to unmute. So we'll just continue because I do want to go over some other phrases that we need to look out for. But before we do, I want to ask for the ones that we just been through, right? Whether you chose both A or B. did you base your answer on just right now, the phrase, or did you base it on something that happened to you or was said to you in the past? You could drop it in the chat, come off mute.
In some instances, I based it on experience.
Okay.
All of it was for experience for me.
Yeah, same here, personal.
Okay.
A little
Tia,
bit of
think
both for me.
Pep was both, like you based it on, okay. So for those that based it on experience, right? The ones that said I was triggering them, which was again not my goal to trigger you, but I want to ask you, why were you triggered by that? Are you still in the situation? And if you're not, what steps have you taken to heal from that situation? Because obviously, if these phrases were to be brought up in a conversation now, you would automatically go into defense mode, even if the person isn't trying to be defensive or trying to go on attack mode with you, you're automatically back in that mindset. Because I didn't choose all of these thinking that both would be the gaslight phrase. I thought one or the other. And a lot of times you guys went with the opposite one that I thought.
So,
Bambi's,
for oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Michelle. No, go ahead, Michelle.
So for me, I'm still dealing with it. I'm working on it,
Okay.
and I am working with my therapist on it.
Okay.
But it's like I just wish, therapy was more than once a week. I wish honestly, like it was as much as we go to school, but I know it does, the therapy's not cheap, but for me, it's just some time because it's like you meet one, for an hour once a week.
Mhm.
And then it's like, I need to work on all of this in 1 week, like, from 1 hour. So for me, I feel like as much work as it took for me to be in that situation and have that experience is the amount of work that I'm going to need to get through it. So I just feel like there's not enough time when it comes to therapy.
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to be the same amount of time. You getting out of it is actually going to take more time. So.
I agree. I feel
So
like
the
I need to
therapist,
double it.
Yeah, probably. Most likely double it because you went through that one situation and then life continued to happen. It's not like you went through that one part and then life paused and like, all right, let me give her a chance to heal. We're going to stop all the trauma. Let's wait till she gets through this. Life continues. So if you're not dealing with things as they happen, they just start to pile up. But well, Bambi, you said, Bambi, you said not in this situation, but it's the lack of respect that gets me. But again, why do you feel like some of these phrases were a lack of respect? Yes, some of them came directly from gaslight phrases, like the ones that, because
no, some of them, I think for me, it was like it was triggers that annoyed me, but I worked through them. But like I think for me, I've always been like a very honest and like direct person. And, it's like a lot of times some of those phrases come from like a lack of respect. Like, and it's the like, I was with somebody who just didn't respect me. It's like, ugh, like, damn it, you could have been with anyone in the world and you chose this asshole. Like, it's like, it's also maturity now.
Okay.
It's like, damn, if I could go back and like slap my 21-year-old self, like I would kick her and like, I would like do her, like make her do ingenue and everything. I'd be like, calm down. Like, it's just, I tolerated so much. And I think that's what gets me every time. It's like how patient I was to the wrong person. So now, like, when I'm actually with a nice person, it's like, what was I thinking? It's just maturity. I think when you get to the point of maturity and you've grown and you've worked on yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done therapy for years, and I'm finally at the point where if I don't have a session for like 2-3 weeks, I'm okay. But that took years. It really does take a long time. To like work through all of your issues and the issues you didn't even think was an issue, and it kind of pops up. But once you get to that point where you're okay with yourself and you worked on yourself, just knowing that your innocent self was subjected to so much disrespect, it's like looking at your firstborn and knowing that they're being disrespected. It's like any mother is not going to like tolerate that. So it's like, why aren't we equally as protective of ourselves? You know?
Yeah. Kia, what about you? Because apparently I was triggering you all throughout these, and I thought the future, picture would help us laugh a little, but
I know. I mean, I'm not like currently dealing with the situation, and I don't deal with that anymore, but I just feel like, everybody I meet, it's just normal for some reason for people to just automatically go to seeing how far they could push you. And, I've been through the stages of blaming myself, or why does this happen to me? Maybe it's just the people I choose. I choose many different kinds of people, even people I'm not attracted to, more quiet guys. And I don't know why. It's almost like it's instinct now. So it's triggering because I feel like it's almost a social norm. Like I don't know. I haven't been able to find or connect with anyone who's like not going to do that eventually.
got it. So in that case, is it a personality trait that you're giving off where they respond to that? Because if you're choosing a whole bunch of different types of people to be around and they're still responding the same, what is it that they're seeing that they think they could even come close to doing that? Like, is it a boundary thing that you have to set up from the jump instead of waiting till something happens to set up that boundary? Or is it just maybe they're not as different as you think?
Like, I've learned to set boundaries from the jump, and when I do that, it doesn't go very far. Even when I'm really, really peaceful about it, I just feel like for some reason people just want to push your buttons, or I don't know. Sometimes people get intimidated when you're in a certain position in life and they're not, or when you have expectations that they can't meet. So now they just want to they just want to push you around just to be able to say, you know what, you're a bad person, so I want to be distant from you, or I want you to see yourself in a certain way, and I'm not going to see it that way. So
most definitely. No, you definitely have the right idea. You set your boundaries up in the beginning. I feel like a lot of times we try to set our boundaries after something's happened, but it's already been established at this point. So now if they do it again, it's more like, oh, I forgot, they can use some stupid excuse as to why. Kelly, go ahead. You have your hands raised?
Oh yeah, I was gonna share that. I think that sometimes we don't set the boundaries, and then things don't happen in the timing that we want it to happen. And we feel like it's not working. But as the woman said before, your time will come as long as you set those boundaries. And it's all like a process too. I feel like an evolution of self. And you start to attract, what you're putting out there. And sometimes that takes time to, undo things that, happen in your childhood or happen in past relationships. And sometimes that takes time. And when the right time is right, sometimes I think we're in a society with instant gratification. And, nobody wants to wait for anything. And we put a time on it. We're like, oh, if it didn't happen in a year, if it didn't happen in this time. But I do believe that, eventually she will get the individual that she's looking for in the relationship if she keeps at it.
Nice. Okay, Kia, you heard that? Keep at it, girl. Keep setting those boundaries. Keep doing that.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah,
it's what I'm putting in the
universe.
It
will definitely come. Exactly. It will definitely come. But and it's so hard because we have a limited perspective, right? Because we're surrounded by what we see. And I don't know what your faith is. Sometimes God has so much more for you than what we're seeing right in front of us. And it's just to have the faith to believe in those things. But I definitely believe that for you and for everybody on this call.
All right, Pastor, thank you. I will receive that. I will most definitely
receive
it. Don't go. What if we need a last blessing? I received that. I'm taking it. Pep, what about you? You said you're not currently in the situation, but
I'm not currently in the situation, but Bambi was saying some things that I identify with, where I'm just like, sometimes I'll just be sitting here minding my own business and a memory will pop up and I'm just like, damn, like I can't believe I let myself deal with that or endure that for so long. And I think for me, part of the reason why I was triggered is because I still haven't forgiven myself for not knowing what I know now back then. So that's something I feel like I'm still working on and definitely talked about with my therapist as well.
Okay. Stephanie, what about you? Let me ask you to unmute. You're on mute just in case you're trying to speak.
Unmute. Okay, I found it.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, tonight's been interesting. While I am aware that I have been gaslighted before,
okay.
I never really thought that or realized that I might have been doing the gaslighting myself. So that was my train of thought. I'm sorry, what was the initial question?
So
clearly I can't
you answering these questions, when you picked whichever one you picked, or whether you picked both A or B to be the gaslight phrase, was it based on past experiences or was it just based on what you were reading tonight?
No, definitely experience.
Got it.
Definitely experience and the feedback that all the ladies provided, and the questions. That's what made me realize, hey, maybe I'm guilty of gaslighting myself.
I'm sure we all have done it. Like, just in the heat of the moment, you don't realize, like, yo, what are you talking about? That's not what I said. This is what we've all said some of these phrases in some shape or form and probably didn't even realize like we were being dismissive, because that's what gaslighting is. You're being dismissive, you're undermining the person's reality, because whatever you perceive is your reality. Like, you can look up in the sky and say the sky is blue. Somebody tells you, no, I'm seeing orange and red. You're going to argue that back and forth, like whether it's because they have some type of stigmatism in their eye and that's the color they see. It's not taking away, like, so you're going to go back and forth. Why? It's legit a communication issue, especially if all you ladies are saying these are things that happened to you in your past, but presently you're not there. But while you're hearing it now, you're still being triggered. Why? Have you actually healed from any of these phrases, or the people that actually inflicted these phrases and these like feelings onto you? Like, whether they were trying to belittle you, whether they were trying to move past something that they did, like, did you really heal from it? Because if you have, why are you still so triggered by it? All right, so let's move on. So this is where I got some of my phrases, just to know what it sounds like. You're overreacting. You need help. I didn't do that. You're upset over nothing. You must be confused again. Just calm down. You're so dramatic. I never said that. Why are you so defensive? It's your fault. What are you talking about? You're so sensitive. Stop imagining things. I never said that. I was just joking. You're remembering things wrong. It's always something with you. And it's also the tone the person uses, right? Because if somebody comes up to me like, yo, you need help? You good? That's not the same as you need help. Like, it's also the tone and whatever the interaction is at that moment that lets you know whether you're being gaslighted or not. Anyone have anything to say before I move on? I think everyone spoke. I didn't skip anyone. No. All right, so I want us to watch something that goes specifically into gaslighting. It's about I believe 9 minutes, and then we can discuss it and we'll finish up.
I describe this person as being someone who was very charismatic,
incredibly charming.
They were very charming.
He's very charming.
They could be nice, but then it would switch with the snap. He would just always say one thing and do another.
He throws stuff in my face to distract me, to switch the spotlight onto myself. And then everything that he did wrong is out the window.
They would make me second guess my own judgment.
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're saying. I never said that. They're crazy. You're crazy.
I started to think, maybe I am causing problems, because every time I express this, he gets upset. It always seems like I'm the one causing the problem.
The hardest part was having friends telling me that I was being gaslit and I didn't see it.
We are continuing our exploration into manipulative mind games that are played in romantic relationships. Now, we began this series talking about love bombing, then we went into Dennis theory, and today it's all about gaslighting. Now, gaslighting refers to the act of undermining another person's reality by denying facts, the environment around them, or their feelings. Targets of gaslighting are manipulated into turning against their own memory, emotions, and possibly their own core identity. People use gaslighting in relationships for two primary reasons. Number one, so they don't have to fix and work on their own shit. And number two, so they can create insecurities in others and use that as a form of control. I think it is massively important that we deconstruct manipulative mind games so that people are able to spot them, avoid them, and if you've been through one, to heal from one. Now, yes, you can listen to this video and get the recipe and try to use this on others, but I truly want to stress nobody wins when mind manipulation is used. Because yes, you can get someone to technically fall for you, but they will despise the experience of being close to you, and thus you lose out on the entire point and the joy of intimacy. And that is why it is so crucial that we practice self-care, and above all else, that we arm ourselves with knowledge so that we can see people with bad intentions miles away. And that is the entire point of this series, to give you awareness so that you can make better informed decisions, so that you can choose healthier relationships. And if you want more research on how to do that, may I suggest my audiobook, The Game of Desire, read by me. And it is a story of how I worked with 6 amazing women through my 5-phase strategy to helping them become the best versions of themselves so they could attract the best people for them. If you also want to do more research than that on mind manipulation, I strongly suggest any audiobook on dark psychology. And speaking of audiobooks, this video is sponsored by my homies, my partners, Audible. And Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet. They have audio fitness programs and office partners at this point. And I only partnered with them after my audiobook, The Game of Desire. But what I do strongly want .com/just $6 my audiobook from the offer from Audible Original Booty or text relationships. Step 1, a gaslighter will pick their poison. They are going to select the reality they want to enforce. And I have noticed that a lot of gaslighters try to create an insecurity based on their own insecurity. So they will project their issues onto you. If they have anger issues, they'll accuse you of having an anger issue. If they are often unfaithful, they will often accuse you of being the one to step out. Once they pick their poison, that's when you get into step 2. And step 2 is repetitions. This person will constantly reinforce whatever, again, that reality is that they are trying to get you to accept. They will bring it up in joking manners, they'll bring it up in public, and they'll often accuse you of it, even again, when it doesn't actually match up with reality. Step 3, a gaslighter will collect co-signers. Now, either through using confirmation bias or confirmation fabrication to enforce their reality, and oftentimes they'll flat out lie about this and say things like, everyone else thinks you're like this. Everyone talks about this behind your back. You're known for being this way. Step 4 is the good old switcheroo. The gaslighter will use whatever their enforced reality is as a scapegoat whenever they are in the wrong. So if you call them out on something, they will quickly try to switch the narrative to pinning back to that insecurity that they have created in you. And the final, most toxic step is console. Step number 5 is when they will pretend they're the only ones who accept you and who will deal with you and work with you. And after they've made you feel the lowest of the lows, they'll swoop in and say, but you know what, we'll get through this together and I'll stand by you even though you've got this really, really toxic problem, because I'm the only one who can possibly love you because, well, look at you. Now, some common phrases you might hear from gaslighters are, you're being crazy, or you are crazy. I never said that. You're being overly sensitive. You are so paranoid. You love drama. You have the worst memory. Everyone else thinks that you're crazy / paranoid, sensitive, miserable, insecure, a liar, manipulative, insert awful adjective here. Now for the important part of this video. What do you do if you recognize that there might be a gaslighter in your life? One, I think it's important just to call a spade a spade. You got to sit someone down during a calm time and say, look, I've noticed this pattern that we tend to do in our relationship, and this is what it's looking like. I don't want to get into that kind of toxic cycle. So how can we work together to fix it? But ultimately, the other person has to come to you and say, I am a part of the system of change and I want to be accountable for myself so that we have a better connection. Because if they don't, there's nothing you can do about it. If you try to propose a solution and they just escalate and get angry, I would say that is good cause to try to sever the relationships. And self-insight truly is a solo sport and you can't change somebody else. And it's up to them to change if they want and they value what you share. And if they don't, slide them to the left or put them in a compartmentalized box where they're not going to negatively affect you the way that a gaslighter truly can if completely unleashed. And if you are listening to this and you're thinking, damn, I think I may have gaslit somebody in the past, first and foremost, self-insight is the cure to gaslighting. And if you recognize that, you are already well on your way to doing better in the future. I also think it's a matter of just affirming to yourself that it's okay to be imperfect. You don't have to try to have a perfect record and have said the right things or did the right things or responded the right way. It's all right to admit your flaws. It's definitely not all right to project them onto other people. It is crucial that none of us fall victim to the idea that we won't have to work on our own faults if we invest our time and energy in highlighting other people's. And honestly, who wants to be perfect anyways? It's through recognizing our faults and working on them that we achieve our potential and becoming our best self. And if you're never in the wrong at the end of any relationship, then you didn't grow from that relationship. At best, you just got by. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, I want to remind you there's more ways you can gain insight just like this. For example, you can listen to my...
All right, ladies, anyone have anything to say about that, about the video, about the 5 steps in terms of gaslighting? Do any of you, like Stephanie, feel like you've gaslit someone in the past unknowingly or maybe knowingly? If you just wanted to get out of it and was trying to find a way to do so. We'll brush sit down, you bugging. Okay, I'm just not reading. A lot of people will brush a sit down off as you bugging. What do you mean, Kia?
In the video, she basically said if you feel like you're being gaslit, you should sit the person down and say, you know, I noticed a pattern between us, and if we continue like this, we're going to be on a toxic path. Like, I've tried that many times, and it just comes off as, you know, like what I mentioned before, you don't understand, or that's how you're taking it. For some reason, I think people don't like to, you know, stand in their shit, like just deal with their problems. I think a lot more of people have more mental health than, you know, we want to believe, especially our people.
Oh yeah, definitely our people. You know, before this, mental health was only for quote unquote crazy people. And who were the crazy people? Apparently to them, it was the person that was walking around the streets in tattered clothes and speaking to themselves or just yelling out, you know, obscenities to just the air. Like that was considered crazy or mental health. You need psychiatry, not the person who was drinking themselves to sleep every night because they were so sad. That wasn't mental health. So of course, again, and the person who's gaslighting, again, depending on your level of faith, you have to know when somebody just doesn't need to be in your circle. It's not that you hate them. It's not that you can't be something down the line, but right now in this present moment, the person that you are right now, it doesn't fit me. I can't continue to let you be close to me if it's only breaking me down. Are you strong enough in your self-care journey, in your healing process to do that and say that? Because like you said, you know, you've done it with several people and it's always the same answer. Not everybody is ready to own up to their shit. Because why? They've dealt with people who let them get away with shit. So it's like, all right, you ain't gonna let me, but I know somebody else that will. And it's just it becomes a toxic cycle. You're not in anything that's long lasting, that leads to anything. Why? Because here you are with this person, here you are with that person. Like, I don't want to end up with that person either. Like, if I can't sit you down because something's happening, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner. It could be also a friendship. If I can't sit down and tell you, this is how I'm feeling based on something that happened between us, then there's a problem. That's not a real friendship. Like, that's some type of superficial relationship that you got going on, but it's not a friendship. You should be able to tell a friend, a romantic partner, a family member, I don't like this, or I feel this is going left. And then have a conversation, like, what's the communication like? And one thing she did mention was that the timing of these conversations, you don't want to have it when y'all already beefing, because of course it's going to come off like, yo, you bugging, or you just, and never bring it up to the person already on attack mode. Like, yo, you did, I'm already on defense mode. Once I hear you did, like, I'm feeling attacked. I'm bored enough. I'm not hearing anything that you have to say to me, even if it is in something constructive. Why? Because I feel like you're attacking at this point. So you have to watch your tone and the time that you're saying these things, whether, even if it is for good. If you catching someone at the wrong moment, it doesn't work. A lot of you ladies said you're in therapy. I've done therapy. I'm not in consistently anymore. But if I wasn't in the mindset to hear what my therapist was trying to teach me, I'd still be in therapy. I hear patients come to me now talking about, I've been in therapy for 3 years, 4 years. What are you doing in therapy for 4 years for the same exact thing? What exactly are you doing? What have you healed from? You haven't done anything. You're still with the same therapist working on the same thing for 4 years, and you haven't made any type of progress. I'm questioning your therapist at that point. It's time to move on. Right? Sorry, not sorry. Like, your therapist should be either coaching you or moving you, asking you hard-hitting questions that makes you second guess the way you think now, depending on what type of therapist you're in. Because there are different therapists for different, there's trauma therapists, there's art therapists, there's CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which questions the way you think so that you can see things differently, think differently, and then behave differently. So if you're with the wrong therapist, also that might be a reason why you're not progressing in whatever it is that you're working on. So think about that as well. But yes, time and tone, definitely a big thing when addressing somebody who isn't even aware that they're gaslighting you. That's another thing. Anyone else have anything to say? No? I do want to share some resources, like I always do, for those who haven't seen the post. Let me share my screen. I believe all of you are in therapy at this point, but if you know somebody that's looking for a therapist or they don't know where to go, I'm going to try to share this at every single one. Call your insurance company. They can actually call and do the legwork for you. You just call them up, ask to speak to a representative, and let them know I'm looking for such and such. And you don't have to now go around trying to find out who takes your insurance, who has availability. Because even that process alone, I know it deters a lot of patients because you hear so many no's, oh, I'm booked, that eventually you just stop looking. Bypass all that. Just call your insurance company and tell them this is what you need, this is what you need help with, and they'll call you. I've had so many insurance companies just call me for patients, and once they find out the information that they need, oh, you're taking people, you're already on our insurance panel, so we know that, you know, they don't have to pay out of pocket for this. Fine, we'll give the patient your number and they can contact and you continue. Another one which I love and I'm always putting up on my Instagrams, they need to write me a check, come to think about it, because I definitely promote for them way too much, but no, they do. They need to write me a check at this point because this is ridiculous. It's psychologytoday.com. Filters based on age, gender, preference, religion. Are you looking for someone with faith, the actual mental health issue that you're dealing with, what insurance they take, and so much more. When I went on there, I already knew I want a Black female therapist. I need somebody that I don't have to explain certain things to. Like, and I know, and not to say that if you're with a white person or whoever, that they can't necessarily understand, but just for me, like my comfort level, I needed to go in and know, like, you know, the cultural background to the things that I'm saying. When I tell you, me and my brother got treated differently growing up in a Haitian household, you already know what that means because you have a similar background. You know, Haitian daughters and Haitian sons do not get treated the same whatsoever. So I don't want to have to explain that. And then now I'm doing therapy for you, trying to explain to you why this and this, like, I don't have time for that. No. Another one, which I just got on, therapyforblackgirls.com. So again, providers of colors, they have both men and females because some women are more comfortable with a male therapist. They have both on there. I wasn't even aware of that. I just recently found out, but they have both. And again, if I'm not close to you, because I've had people who I'm actually close with ask, I can't do therapy for you if I know you in some capacity. Unfortunately, I would love to, but I can't. But for those who don't and know people who are looking for therapists, I am taking on new patients. They can always click the link in my bio. I always switch it back to my website when we aren't doing the check-in nights like these. But yeah, anyone have any questions, any comments before we wrap it up? No.
The gaslighter, I don't know, from that video she shared, sounds like a narcissist.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
There's definitely a narcissistic personality trait.
Yeah, very.
Gaslight, especially if you're doing it. There's those who do it that don't realize, but when you realize that you're doing it and you continue to do it, yeah, you have some type of personality disorder that I'm diagnosing you with. Like, sorry, not sorry. But yeah. So are you ladies okay? I wasn't trying to like trigger you and then send you off into the night. Like, do we have to play like 7 Up or something? Green light, red light, 1, 2, 3. Like I shut my eye off. Like what we gotta do? Because I'm not trying to send you ladies off into the night triggered. Like, no, I just want to educate you for those who aren't aware, so you know what you're going into and what you're worth. Set those boundaries. Like, I don't know who's single on here, who's engaged, who's what, but definitely the single life gets hard. But do not lower your standards to just accept anything that comes your way. Because trust and believe, I've done it. And you're like, you know what? At least this and this, at least this. You always get burned in the long run. It's just not even worth it. Like, there's certain core things that you have and you know why you have it in place and why you want it in your partner. That should never change. Don't settle just because you haven't seen it come yet. All right. Okay, ladies. Go take a shot of some honey, some ginseng. I don't know what y'all do, but don't go to bed triggered, please. And for those who aren't aware, I am doing a men's health talk next week. I will share that with you ladies as well. So for the men in your life who you know need mental health help or a place for them to vent, how do I share the screen? Please let them know about it. I'm going to post it up on the check-in and awareness and also my personal page. But it's next Thursday. It'll be me, a male therapist, as well as a Black male in the community who's also doing something with mental health and just masculinity in general with a nonprofit organization. But it's the space for Black men to come and speak. I believe it was suicide prevention that Charlemagne the God was talking about with one of his recent guests. So just giving them resources, place for them to heal to. I mean, we have this group and there's others, but I don't know what guys have at all and they need it. So I'm just trying to provide that for them as well. So it'll be up. Take a screenshot right now if you have to and just share. Next Thursday at 7:30. All right, ladies, that is it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for participating and answering. I'm happy you had a chance to clear your head. Go home smiling. No triggers, but I will see you ladies in 2 weeks and I will put out the topic as soon as I get it myself, but it'll be up there. Have a good night, ladies.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.